Hey, what's up, you guys? I'm Joshua Stonecutter. My other episode's uploading. I just had a few thoughts I wanted to get out and just go ahead and knock out another episode. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and upload them both tomorrow. It looks like I ran out of. Space. Hotspot space is what I'm thinking of. Let me go over the records that I have real quick. We got this is a classic right here. This is Sasha's Expander. I'm gonna hold this up because I'm doing Facebook Live as well. This is Sasha's Expander. It's got Expander, Bell Funk, Rabbit Weed, and Baja on it, and these tracks are amazing. Expander was always a go-to. Expander was always a go-to track. In the backup, we have a double vinyl. We're looking at Calling Your Name, the Millennium Remixes. Libra presents Taylor. And I've actually opened up for DJ Taylor a couple times. One of the guys that produced the tracks on this. I've opened up for him a number of times, DJ Taylor. And then in the background there, we've got my normal friends and my conspiracy thing. All right, these are the topics we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how, 98% of the people out there, does it feel like they're lying to you? Because they are. We're going to talk about Lord of the Rings, all right, and how the Lord of the Rings connects to all this. We're going to talk about the idea of just that these people have where they're just going to, that idea is to just destroy everybody. It's just total, it just doesn't make sense to me. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And we're going to talk about the TV. We're going to talk about TV in the news. I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. And then we're going to talk about the show, how the show must go on. When I say the show must go on, I mean the big show, the show that we can't stop, All right, so I already said my name, Joshua Stonecutter. What I'm doing is I'm taping my show on my camera and I'm live streaming on Facebook. Once the live stream's done, you can watch the whole episode. All right. I'm working on getting a computer, so I'll be live streaming through everything at once. I'll do YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch all at the same time. But you just got to give me like another month or so before I get that up and going. For now, please share this. Yeah. So let me talk about Lord of the Rings. And the reason I want to talk about Lord of the Rings is because I believe Lord of the Rings connects to all this stuff, as does the Chronicles of Narnia. The reason I think it connects to all this stuff is because those books and those movies were crammed down my throat growing up. Like, it was like we had to know about them. Like, I read The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings growing up. I've seen the movies a bunch of times, and I've read the books. More importantly, I've read the books. The books are, if you haven't read the books, they're long, they're tedious, but they're really worth reading. All right, so in the books, there's 20 rings of power. All right, there's 20 rings of power. They give 7 to the dwarfs, 3 to the elves, 9 to men, and then there's 1 ring to rule them all. 1 ring to bring them all. And in the darkness bind them. That's what I can't remember the exact poem. It's 1 ring to rule them all, one ring to bring them all, 1 ring to rule them all, something so. And in the darkness bind them. It's like this really wicked dark poem for Lord of the Rings. Well, this stuff has a connection to what is going on. Like, and then there's the 1 ring, the ring that the movie is really about. You know what I mean? The ring of power. So all these things are representative of other stuff, right? Like the ring of power is probably representative of like the ring of power in the world, like, but you have to keep in mind there's also the precious. You know what I'm saying? What is the precious? What is the Holy Grail? Do you see what I'm saying? Because that is what we're talking about. We're talking about harms to people, and we're talking about the Holy Grail. That's what my show is about, just to be clear. Like, I'm talking about all these other things, but the bigger picture is, that stuff. The reason I'm talking about Lord of the Rings is this. In Lord of the Rings, the eye is like, you know, what's ruling over everything, and the eye stretches out long over the lands and stuff like that. And so, but this is what I'm saying is that the eye calls all these different people to it, including the elves. The nine men are the ring wraiths. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're completely corrupted, uh, and they represent probably. So how do we fit into all this? I don't know exactly, but I know that I think that, like, we're starting to stumble upon and we're starting to discover, like, what their precious is. You know what I'm saying? Like, what their ring of power is. And the question is, what are we going to do about it? Not we, sorry. What are you going to do about it? You know what I mean? It's obvious what I'm doing about it. I'm doing it right now. All right, this is okay. So this is the next question, or this is really what I wanted to, like, get to with the whole Lord of the Rings thing. Who are you in the Lord of the Rings story? Who are you? Who are you in the Lord of the Rings story? Are you an orc? Do you see what I'm saying? Are you just like, because there's men, there's people, there's humans. There, are you just you know, a bartender in some town that the men live in? There's this one, you know, I live in Flagler County. I live near the beach. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a town that's on the water there. It kind of reminds me of Miami a little bit, or Venice or something. But who's your character? Who's your character? I know that sounds cheesy, but, like, who is it? Because for me, my character is a main character, and I don't. It's not my ego talking. It's my life. It's everything that I've done. You know what I mean? I'm looking at a Frodo, a Strider, or a Legolas. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you know Lord of the Rings that well, but all right. So let's move on to the next topic. The next topic is, how does somebody walk through the woods in Florida, or walk through the Everglades in Florida, or walk through the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina, or walk through the deserts in California or Arizona or New Mexico, or see the Grand Canyon? You know, granted, all these places I'm talking about, like, there's, like, no people there when I'm thinking about them, and when I've been there, they're not, like, it's not like these places, like, are crowded with people. You might see a person or two, but there's not really people there. I haven't seen the big forests up in California, but I've seen Joshua Tree National Park. Okay, I've seen a lot of stuff in the United States. I've seen the Caribbean. So, who looks at all this stuff, right, and then reaches the conclusion, yep, let's murder everybody. That's what we should do. Let's cull the population. There's too many people. It doesn't make any sense. Nothing they're telling us makes sense. In fact, it looks like the opposite is true for everything. That's what it looks like. Global warming is probably the opposite. The Earth is probably getting colder or something. You know what I mean? I'm being ridiculous. I'm being facetious when I say that about global warming, but I'm telling you, they have us looking up. And what are they doing? They're just going up into the atmosphere for a little bit. They're not even really going into space, you know? So when these spaceships come and these aliens come, this is the question that we need to ask. Like, if you guys are really from outer space, then I'll be the ambassador, right? Take me to the moon then. Prove it. Or, like, you know, whatever. Take a couple people up there. Because the problem is the people that they are going to say, oh yeah, well, we will take a couple people up there. We'll take this senator and that senator and this liar and that liar. They're going to take a bunch of people that we don't trust. That we can't trust. Everything is just so flawed. And it's like, they have us so dumbed down. Which brings me into the next topic, which is TV, news, and media. This is where we're getting our information, you guys. It's called television. Like, that's what it's called. Television. They're telling us a vision of theirs. And what else is it called? Programming. Where do these things come from? Where does this sound familiar? Mkultra. Also my family. My dad was a computer programmer. He programmed computers and he tried to program me as a person. Period. End of discussion. They were some kind of pagans, possibly even Satanists, masquerading around as Christians. That's the deal. They have us so dumbed down, and there are people that really, this is what boggles my mind, just me personally as an individual. There are people that watch this stuff and believe it. And then for me, what I get is, I don't get much of that, actually, like in me and my life. What I get are people that don't believe it at all, right? They don't believe any of it. But then they try to talk to me like they're trying to get me to believe it. Like, oh yeah, Biden or Trump or whatever. I'm just like, oh man, like, I can tell that you don't believe it. Why are you trying to get me to believe it? And this has to do with like the fake Trump supporters that were paraded around in front of me out in California, which didn't make any sense at the time, but it makes sense now. You know, it's all just part of the show, which leads me into my last topic. The show must go on. And that is the great thing about this. That is like one of the things that I'm banking on. This is like bothering me. I keep looking at this, just that right there. I was just adjusting something from the YouTube, but look, I didn't realize until just, it's hilarious to me how horrible my parents did me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is ridiculous how much they undermined me. And I used to think that it was done on accident, because my parents had me go to a rehab called the Phoenix House, where they told me my parents woke up every day and did the best that they could. That they were just doing the best they could. In fact, the line that I was even told, and I'll tell you word for word, this is it. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to try to F this person's life up. Nobody ever wakes up and says, I'm going to try to do bad things like that. Oh, and I believed it too. I mean, I went around saying that and believing it. Like, nobody wakes up doing that. I didn't go into the Phoenix House thinking that my parents did wake up saying that kind of crap, or did go to sleep thinking it, or whatever was going on. Because I think I was just tranked up the whole time. I think that's the deal. I think I was tranked up the whole time. So, like, nobody wakes up and says, I'm going to F this person's life up. Apparently, Mike G, because that was the guy's name in treatment. And this guy works with kids, by the way, like down South Florida. You know what I mean? Like, these people are sick. And I even like had this thought in my mind, like, oh my goodness, like, is he like not really doing good things with kids? And now it's like gone way past that, because it's like, I'm looking at my family, I'm looking at the church, I'm looking at everybody that had a house built like my parents' house was built. Because before the foundation of my house was poured, my parents knew what they were going to be doing to me in different rooms of that house, and the children after that. It was 100% premeditated. 100% premeditated. But this is what I'm banking on with all the live streaming and everything. I'm banking on somebody coming along and not just sitting there trying to look and suck off my trauma, or not looking because they're like a DHS agent or a member of my family or whatever. Which, when I say member of my family, we're talking thousands and thousands of people. Who knows? I don't even know what family I'm really in. That's how big my family is. I have a feeling it's the Harris family, or the Astor family, or a mixture of the two, a union of the two, with some test tube kid. Like, my parents wanted me to believe so strongly that I came out of my mother, that I now am starting to think, because of everything else, that's probably not the case. They have systematically lied to me about everything. It's absurd. It's absurd, the stuff they've lied to me about. And now that I've started asking real questions about my youth and all this stuff, they won't even talk. They saw this coming before I did. Before I knew what I was on to, before I knew what I was... You see, because I've been on this mission, this fact-finding mission, for a year or two now, about 2 years. And the whole time, it's been so hard for me to do the research. And that's one of the reasons I kept relapsing, was because every time I would find something out, it would relate to myself and my family and my upbringing. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like, I must be tripping, right? There's no way that there's no way I'm right about all this. You guys, I've been right about everything. I've been right about everything. And it all started with just like this kind of hunches and sort of fun sort of. So anyways, no matter what I say, no matter what I do, this thing that I've stumbled upon, this thing that I'm talking about, the plan that they call it, I mean, Biden was just talking about it. He called it something plan that was started long ago or whatever. You know, Bush mentions it. When Bush Senior mentions the 1,000 points of light, do you know what he's talking about? He's talking about the castle that the Mothers of Darkness live in. Look it up. Look up Mothers of Darkness. Look up 1,000 points of light. It is rumored that they sacrifice an infant there every day. That's what Fritz Springmeier said, that they sacrifice an infant there every day, and that they write down like the plans for the Illuminati in like blood or something like that. Based on the stuff that I found out recently, I don't find that hard. When I heard that, I found that ridiculous. Now I don't find it that hard to believe. But this is what I'm banking on, you guys. This is what I'm counting on. The show must go on. I know I keep saying that, but you know, they used to say this in rehab in the Phoenix House. They would say it's the greatest show on earth, and I started thinking that meant like sobriety and stuff. Because look, just making your way through the rooms, if you successfully make your way through treatment and Alcoholics Anonymous and make your way out the other side, and you're not like a raging sex addict or like a drug addict, like you are doing great. You know what I mean? Or you're only on like one drug or two drugs. You're doing great. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I still smoke. I'm a medical marijuana patient, and anyways, so no matter what I say, no matter what I do, the show's going to go on. They're just going to pivot and move around and shift and stuff like that here and there, but you know, nothing I say or do is really going to stop it. You know, somebody like made some comment, and they might be watching now. I don't know who's watching, but somebody made a comment about like, oh, well, you're talking about if you reported this, if you reported that. You know, go watch by November 6th. Remember November 6th. Look, it's already been reported. You don't understand who I am and how I roll. Like, it's done. Like, I already made the report to the Alachua County Sheriff's about my parents and what I believed happened when I was a kid, and they told me to stop because they had enough for the detective. And I told them before I started talking, I said, look, I have a lot of stuff written down here. I want you to get enough stuff to where this can be taken to the next level, you know. And I told them, with respect to you guys, I'm not here to talk about the Freemasons. I'm not here to talk about how, you know, it looks like my dad was some kind of like Illuminati, a person that you guys probably call worshipful master. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to talk about the network of spies that you guys have set up. I'm not here to talk about how everybody in this room, with respect, all of us, and I've talking to two officers. This is in a hotel room. I'm like, with respect to both of you guys, all three of us have been effed in the A. I was like, and you guys already know that I've been effed in the A. And I kept saying, I was like, that's the crazy part about this. Whenever you talk to any sheriff or cop, if you're having some revelations about things that were done to you as a kid or whatever, and you're going, look, you go to a priest, right? You go to a cop to talk about it. Guess what? Oh, they already know. I think a lot of times it's written on your face. It might be written on my face because of this thing that I kind of have, like, because I was led to believe that I got this injury from like a log hitting my face, but like in hindsight, I think I was like all K'd up or tranked out of my mind when that happened, like on some kind of tranquilizers or something. And I've heard that mind control victims, I've heard this, that they typically have, this is my right eye, they typically have like a slant down over the right eye. And if you look, if I relax, let me get in here too, you can see that I do. This is my left eye and my right eye. You see, you can really see it right there. You see my left eye and then my right eye. You see? So, there's a chance that if somebody's a Freemason, they might be able to tell just by looking at my face. You know what I'm saying? Just because of that. Because I know that was a very specific injury that was like done to me on purpose. I have it all written down in a book, actually, that whole experience. I guess I'll just talk about it real quick. I just remember being placed on, like, my brother basically like walked me and set me somewhere. And I remember watching these two big sticks like hit right in front of my face. And I remember watching and thinking, that's going to break. And I was really young, you guys. I was like, This stuff happened when I was young. Okay, and check this out. Maybe it was just my brother being a bully. You know, I don't know. But I just remember looking at it and thinking that's gonna hit me in the face. You know, and it did. But like I just stood there. This is the thing that I don't understand now as an adult. I just stood there and just watched that happen, and I thought that they're doing this to hit me, but like it was like I couldn't move. This is the weird thing. I didn't really want to move. It was I can't really explain it, but like it would be really explainable if like I was coming out of like a daze, you know what I mean? Maybe if I was kept in some kind of like coma for like 2 weeks and then they just dragged me out to like, because there's another time I remember pretty much being like hooked up, like really bound tight to our German Shepherd mixed with a Doberman. And I just remember it pulling me over and over and over again, flat. And I just remember I just kept falling over and over again on the rocks. I was getting pulled through the leaves. But looking back on it now, it was like, how effed up was I? Like, and who does that to a kid? You know what I'm saying? Check this out. Look, the Google car won't drive down my childhood road. There's no pictures of it. You can't even see it. Northwest 63rd Avenue, Gainesville, Florida. Look it up. Or don't look it up. You can't see it. I think that these private roads in Florida that are white and not green, I think that's where they live. Do you see what I'm saying? And I think that before a cop or a sheriff even pulls down that road, I think that he has a pretty good idea where he's going to. And I think that when he sees the front of the house, that there is architectural indicators at the front of the very house that let you know what you're dealing with. How do I know all this? Because that was the deal with my house. How do I know all this? Because I just figured it out recently. I just discovered it recently by going through old photo albums and talking with my parents and having them lie to me. And having the photos prove them liars. Their own photos proved them to be liars. I had been asking them for months and months. Did anything to do with the design of our house have to do with paganism or anything, witchcraft, anything like that? I had been asking them for months and months and months. In fact, the first time I ever mentioned anything about our house was when I was a child, because I got a compass and I realized that our house was not evenly facing north or south or east or west. And I asked my parents about it, and they just blew me off, whatever. Oh, they said, well, we didn't really care about that at the time. It was no big deal. But then I'm reading all this stuff about, the occult and everything, and all this stuff is very, very important to them. Having your house placed just right. And they even sleep in different directions and all this crap. It's probably because they know stuff about the earth that we don't know and the rotation of the earth. I was just thinking about this today, and I'm going to end with this stuff. This is why I'm shadow banned right here, I'll tell you. Because now that I know that I'm smarter than anybody's ever told me, and now that I know that I was specifically dumbed down, like I'm really like letting myself go in a good way, you know what I'm saying? And like hypothesizing about a lot of stuff that they're not going to like. I'll tell you something I was thinking about earlier, and then I'll bounce. This is what I was thinking about earlier. Not so much the shape of the earth, but the size of it. They're lying to us about the size of the earth. Period. Like, I can prove that in like a sentence or two. You can stand on the coast of Michigan, look across the lake, and take a picture of the coast of Chicago if the weather is good. That should not be physically possible according to them and the curvature of the earth. That right there should throw up some red flags. All right. But what would make sense is that there's also no gravity in the middle of the earth. Right? Like, could it be that all these space things that we're seeing with no stars in the background are all being filmed not up there, but in the middle of the earth? Oh yeah. That seems a lot more likely. Seems more likely that people would have started digging a long, long time ago too. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like, look, all right, we can't go up. You know what I mean? We don't have rocket ships. I'm thinking about people hundreds of years ago, but we can go down. And then there's all these alien stuff, you know, I'm starting to think the aliens are just really, really old people who don't want to die, who are being kept alive on the Holy Grail. So, you'll know if they false flag me. It'll be something about the eyes. The eyes will be different. And I'll be different. You know what I mean? I'll definitely be different. I won't be me anymore if they replace me. Or they might just off to the meat factory with me, off to the torture chamber. You know, that could be the other option. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and bounce. It looks like both these videos are gonna get uploaded tomorrow at some point, or maybe tomorrow and Friday. I don't really know how we'll do it. If you're seeing this on Facebook, cool. Please share it to your Facebook page. Please share it to some friends. Please thumbs up this video. Somebody's supposedly been in here the whole time, but you know, I don't know. I don't trust that stuff. All right, you guys, peace.